at my channel history, you could say I have a rather spontaneous upload schedule in that I don't have one. My philosophy at the moment is make content when I feel like making content. And I'm here to stick by that. It actually crossed my mind to just abandon this channel completely, but lo and behold, I felt that video making itch again. Some people may call it a bad habit, but that wouldn't have been the first time I straight up abandoned a social media account of mine. The thing is, though, I'm not ashamed of that. In fact, I think more people should consider abandoning their art accounts. You see, I've been a part of online art spaces since I was but a young scrapling, and I've dabbled in a lot of corners of the internet. I've made webtoons, I've made TikToks, Instagram Reels, and most definitely YouTube videos. All while leaving a trail of dead art accounts before me. So I thought I would come out to share my stories of these accounts, or at least the most notable of them, and why I abandoned them, and to defend why I did. So I would say my internet journey started on Emino, really? Amino. Isn't that a throwback? And if you don't know what Amino is, it was basically like the Reddit for preteens and fandom users. Not everything on there was fandom, but that was mostly where it drew from. It was like this social media that had these like subsections of like communities. I particularly use the like OC Amino a lot, I remember, or like the artist Amino. It's mostly for like original art I used it. Um, and the thing about Amino is that since they are like subsections, there's like made up. It's all made up of sub communities. What am I saying? It they were pretty closely knit, and the standards on there were very very low, art wise. I mean, and probably every other wise as well. So for beginner artists, it was actually really great to get like involved in the community and have a lot of interaction, and it felt really closely knit, and it was like the first community I ever felt really accepted into. Like I had dabbled in other social medias before, but it's just really hard to get noticed on there compared to Amino, where everyone is looking at everything in these sub communities. And so for beginner artists, it was actually really great. The audience was small, but they were very interactive. I remember the first fan art I ever got was on Amino, and I still have it saved on my phone. I'll show it if I can find it. Um, so the thing about Amino being so small is that I overflated my ego a lot on Amino because since the standards were not that high, my subpar art would like frequently get featured after a while. I mean, not at the first because that was when I was super bad, but when I started like having decent art skills, I would say not great. I would get featured, and it like made my heart so full whenever I got attention on Amino, and I started kind of my love for posting on social media and sharing my art and just being part of like internet space and internet culture. But of course, Amino had a lot of faults. It's kind of notorious these days for people getting groomed on there. And I won't lie, I will admit that I feel like I've had like a couple close cases myself where I just narrowly dodged being groomed. Um, and so while I was on Amino, it was great. It was fine. It wasn't too serious. And it did motivate me a lot to like create more and be original and just be in these kind of spaces. Like it did help in that sense. I think community is really great for that. But you know, as I grew older and Amino got less popular, I just, you know, it felt a little juvenile, I guess. No hate to anyone who still uses Amino, right? It's just I grew out of it, and Amino as like an app was dying out, and it just I felt like I was growing too big for my pond, per se. But I still have like a special place in my heart for Amino, and I'm kind of sad what did happen to it. I think we're really losing spaces for like beginner and juvenile artists to start out and feel safe and, you know, have a community and, you know, feel welcomed, right? And just have like a voice, even though they're not great. Like I think that those spaces are dying out. So this is a piece I drew back in my Amino days. I think it was for some sort of art challenge that I did not win. And here's my redraw now in 2025. Alright, moving on. So, not to take like an emotional dive, but in middle school, my grandfather died. And this is relevant, I promise. And in middle school, I did not know how to know. I did not know how to cope with grief or like such a loss, and I didn't know how to open up to others about it. And this is relevant because I didn't know what to do about, you know, this event that was happening in my life. And the way I coped with this, which is really funny in retrospect, not him dying, of course, but I coped with it through making a Demon Slayer fan account on TikTok. um, and you're probably asking, like, what? Um, but it did actually help me, like, I don't know, be happy. Not that I was struggling to be happy, but it just kind of took my mind off of things when I first started uploading on it. And this was kind of the first time I ever really interacted actively in a fandom space. Amino, that was just, it had fandom spaces, of course, but I mainly posted original stuff. I don't think I ever posted fan art until I made that Demon Slayer fan account. And what I didn't quite know is that fan work and stuff like that, it does really well on the internet. More so than original work usually, especially if you're kind of starting out, because there's already like a pre-built community for you to jump into that loves to see like more of the stuff they love, and you don't have to go through that effort of getting people connected to your work like you do with original characters or stuff like that. So fan work is a good way to like build a base of a platform. I wouldn't say it's the best way, because if you solely build your internet presence off of making like fans work, people are not going to care about your original stuff, and they're going to leave when you do start to push out original stuff. So I think a good way to build a base is like to do both simultaneously, so people know what to expect in the future. But that's not the point. The point is, this is the first time I got kind of popular online for my artwork. Not to make everyone cringe, but actually I started off with edits and then I started posting fan art, but that's not entirely relevant to the situation. But yeah, I started posting fan work and people started like complimenting my art, and I started actually, this was actually the time I don't cringe in disgust when looking at my artwork. But yeah, and it was the most popular I've ever been on the internet, mostly because now I wasn't on Amino, which was fairly small, where like 150 likes was pretty big. This was on TikTok, right? And TikTok has a way bigger audience than Amino will ever have. And I got really greedy for attention. And I would start only posting fan works for like the next few years. I don't, like 1 or 2 years. Because I just loved the attention it gave me, right? And I still have a lot of love in my heart for Demon Slayer. But it got to a point where like I wasn't doing it out of love for the show or for the manga. I was just doing it because I knew people really liked that, and I made fan works that I wasn't necessarily enthusiastic about. I just wanted people to like think that was cool or something, which sounds so cringe because it's Demon Slayer. And I was like, no, it's just, you know, your middle schooler desire to be popular and liked online. It's kind of funny. I remember like being at lunch and I would be sitting at a group of like at lunch with a group of people. They weren't necessarily my friends, but I knew them and I didn't want to sit alone. But like I didn't really connect with them very well. So instead of talking to the very real people that were sitting at my table, I would just be on my phone editing editing Demon Slayer manga panels. So if you guys ever recognize like my username, but from from a Demon Slayer fan account, yeah, the same person. That was me, guys. That's me. Dude, I'm revealing so many cringy parts of my life, but where else am I gonna share it? And so I was fairly popular, like I said before. I think I had like by the end I had like 2.5 thousand followers, which isn't actually a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it was a lot to me because I had never reached that level of popularity, and a lot of my videos were getting more than, of course, that audience, that 2.5 thousand. But things just petered out. Like I said before, I was just kind of forcing myself to make this fan content, even though my love wasn't as like passionate or as fueled as before. And I don't know why, but I would make the same kind of content, right? And I'd even start putting in more effort than I would be before because I wanted to get more recognition, which is good for my kind of art progress to a degree, actually, but not great for my creativity. And then I don't know why, but at some point, my videos that would get thousands of views would get hundreds of views, which did a number on my psyche. Let me tell you, these problems seem so futile talking about it now in this manner, but it meant a lot to me more back then. I would get really depressed when I uploaded a TikTok and it only got like 500 views and like 2 comments or whatever. And that really put me in a bust, dude, because I had been making Demon Slayer content for so long that I wasn't really sure what to make next. Like, I just didn't have a lot of creativity. I didn't have any OCs I was really passionate about. I had some Demon Slayer OCs, right? But it was connected to Demon Slayer fandom, and I just lost passion for drawing for some time. Like, it kind of felt forced. And then I just like, I was like, I just didn't like, I didn't like posting. I didn't like having the account. It just felt like, I felt guilty. I don't know why I felt guilty, but I felt like I was not posting stuff people were liking. But eventually, things petered out, my interest died, and I felt I didn't want to be obligated to keeping up this account anymore. I didn't want to feel obligated to keep posting Demon Slayer. I still like Demon Slayer, don't get me wrong, but I wanted to stop posting about it. And just kind of out of nowhere, I was like, I just deleted the account. I just like, whoop, now it's gone. And like, it was like, it hurt for a day, and then I was over it, and then I was just living life. I was just enjoying school. I wasn't drawing as much, but I like not having to worry about the internet and numbers. So this is the drawing I made back in my Demon Slayer phase, where I drew my 2 Demon Slayer OCs as like a fake screen cap and tried really hard to replicate the art style of the anime. And this is what my piece looks like now in 2025 in my own special art style. So what I would call phase 3 of my like internet history, I guess you could call it, started I think freshman year of high school, or maybe like 8th grade, so when I was ending middle school. But it started off with a school project, actually, shockingly enough, and it was a very open, vaguely defined school project where I had the option just to do something creative, and I chose to make like a cast of characters and a whole world and stuff like that. And this had such a long art block, but this really helped me get out of it because it really like drove me to create my own characters, and I got really into these characters, right? I made a very short lasting webtoon about them, I'm not gonna lie. You may or may not recognize them, depending on your if you follow me on other platforms. We don't talk about how that webtoon only lasted like 7 chapters. What's that? Shh, shh. Anyways, the project was called Vessel, and it followed this young monk boy and him getting superpowers or something like that. I don't want to go too deep into it because it's not particularly relevant. What's relevant is that I started making original art again, and I started really getting into it, and I started, remembering my passion for it and having OCs and being making my own stuff. And just for fun, I made a short animatic about two characters who I had not even introduced in the comic or shown much. I just had them in my head, and I thought that'd be really cool to introduce later. I never actually ended up introducing them. But I made a quick little animatic with them to the song. What was the song? It was Bad Habit. If you remember that song, because that was the song that was trending at the time. So I made a reel of them, and it got popular. I don't want to say blew up, but it got over how many views does it have right now? Let me go check, guys. 100,000. Okay, that's more than I expected. I don't know if I should re-record. It has over 100,000 views right now, and that fucking blew me away. That blew me away. Because I had never, for my own original stuff, no one had ever given me that kind of attention. And if you haven't caught on by now, I was fucking greedy for attention. That makes me sound abused or something, I don't get attention at home. I get enough attention at home, guys. I just want more of it. I'm just a glutton for attention. But anyways, that really shocked me because 1, it's original characters. 2, I had never found success on Instagram before. Throughout all of this, I had been posting occasional artworks on Instagram, but they never got more than 50 likes. And usually it was 10 likes, and they were from friends, people that knew me in real life. So this shocked me, and I wanted more. Are you guys seeing a pattern here? I hope I'm really drawing it thick enough for you. So I kept making these reels to music, and actually it was a pretty fun time, I won't lie, because I could make content I liked of characters I created, and people were actually kind of getting invested in these characters. But the thing about this kind of art that I was making was that, to me, it felt like very cheap art. I don't want to hate on the art style I used too much, but when I was making that first animatic, I just wanted to make something really quick and easy. So I used this very simplistic, minimalistic style. I didn't use any line weight. The coloring was very minimal. I think I used cross hatching so I could save on time. I didn't actually have to shade. And I think cross hatching is just cool. I still do really love cross hatching. I will include it in a lot of sketches. But that's the thing. I use it in sketches, or I just don't use it that much. I just use it when I'm in a rush. And I don't want to say it was slop, but it was not art I was actively putting that much effort into. It was not my full potential. But that was the kind of art that was getting really popular on Instagram. My hypothesis was that when I started posting these reels, it was at a time when reels was a relatively new feature to Instagram. So I think they were kind of pushing out reels more in the algorithm, just to have people post on reels more and, fight the competition that is TikTok. So people only really liked the reels I was posting and not any photos I was posting. The photos I posted were doing okay, but nothing can compete with the amount of interaction and numbers I got from these reels. And you see how history repeats. I got very obsessed with my numbers. I got very obsessed with like comment counts. And when that happens, when I get obsessed with that, when it's taken away from me, I get depressive. I Depressive is an extreme word. I get like sad, or I get disappointed. I don't want anyone to like call a helpline for me, guys. I'm okay, guys. Um, so eventually the interaction goes down. Maybe it was just like, what's the word? Regression to the mean. But my reels weren't getting popular anymore. And if you've been listening to the video, that's not a good sign for what it means for my for my art accounts. So, guess what I did? Guess what I did, guys? You're never gonna guess. You're never gonna guess. I disappeared. I abandoned the art account. I mean, I didn't completely abandon it. I posted recently on it, decently recently, and I'm trying to post more on it because I think it's just kind of a hassle to make like a whole new Instagram. I don't know. I just also don't agree with a lot of what Instagram as like a company does. Their like policies about like AI. I remember hearing something about them scraping its photos and its drawings to use for like AI, and I just don't like social medias that are coming really AI centric. Like, I think it was super cringe when they have those like AI chatbots you can message. Sorry, that's so off topic, but it's another reason why I ended up leaving Instagram. Not the most relevant to this video, but something to consider. And then, you know what? I left Instagram and I was completely fine. And you know, I thrived actually. I started making fan work again, for a different fandom. I won't say which because I still post on those accounts, and I'm a bit embarrassed if y'all find them, but I think you will find them if someone is dedicated enough. But I like to make it a little fun and, you know, have a little treasure hunt for y'all. But it was fan work I actually like felt not obligated to make, and I was just making it for fun, and I was making my own stuff for fun. I was just drawing again for just the love of drawing, the love of creation, love of character designing. Guys, I have so many OCs. It's like I'm so neglectful to a big majority of them because I only draw OCs like once and I move on. At the same time, I made a YouTube, uploaded it a couple times, stopped, uploaded a couple times, and then stopped. And you know what? It was fine. I realized I was being fucking dramatic this entire time. I am not obligated to post. I'm not obligated to share my work. And no one is obligated to see my work. And honestly, I learned to become like happy with just drawing, right? Doing my own stuff, starting my own projects. So this is a frame from an animatic reel I did. It's not the one that blew up that I mentioned before, but it's one that I think really encapsulates the art style I was going for at the time, this comic pop style. And this is my redraw in 2025, where I actually, you know, put effort into the coloring. Now I want to end this video by stating that I am not a professional artist. Hell, I barely receive commissions. Art is not my job, nor my obligation, so my advice will not apply to everyone out there, especially those trying to create a substantial presence online and build a career around their art. Consistency will garner you those kind of results if you really stick to it. But to everyone else who feels stuck and guilty for not knowing what to post or when to post or how to post, my advice is to just delete your art accounts. Don't pussyfoot around it, just delete them. It might hurt for a day or a week or even a month of losing all that progress, but the freedom of expectation and like the lack of history is sometimes that blank canvas you need to keep creating and bring something new to the table. I'll be honest, I can't guarantee that I'll post again on this channel. Like I was trying to emphasize this whole video, I post what I like and when I like, and sometimes that means never posting at all. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed the video because I enjoyed making it, and I hope that I enjoy whatever comes next.